All right, it is time for lesson 3.2. Remember to write that at the top of your math notebook. Lesson 3.2, multiplication with non-unit fractions. So I can multiply a whole number by a non-unit fraction. That's the I can statement I'm looking for at the top of your notebook today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that multiplication, about non-unit fraction. We're going to look at a word problem to help us figure that out. Okay, this one says Prairie Town is 15 miles away. If you've driven 1/3 of the distance, how many miles have you gone? Okay, now you're thinking to yourself, that's a unit fraction. It is, but there's a reason for that. We're getting to it. Okay, I promise. Okay, so we have to figure out what 1/3 of 15 is. And you remember in our last lesson, that's like saying 15 divided by 3. I'm taking that 15 and dividing it into those 3 equal groups. Okay, and I know that that's 5. All right, so if you've driven 2/3 of the way to Prairie Town, how many miles have you gone? I'm sure a lot of you are like, got it right now. Okay, if you're not quite there yet, let's take a look here. Okay, here's what I can use. I know that a third equals 5 miles, so I can use that to help me. For every third I have, that's going to equal 5 miles. Okay, so 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. So that would be the same as taking the 5 miles, which is my answer, plus 5 miles equals 10 miles. Same thing. I'm just taking, if I know 1/3 is 5 miles, I can just add that together twice to give me my 10 miles. Okay. Or I could do 1/3 times 2, which is 2/3. Remember from we did our multiplication unit fractions? That's just adding 1/3. Quick way to do it. Repeated addition, multiplication. So that'd be the same as 2 times 5 miles, or a total of 10 miles. Okay, so we're going to using unit fractions to solve non-unit fraction problems is one strategy that we can use. So for any multiplication of a non-unit fraction, you can first figure out what the value of the unit fraction is, and then multiply the unit for that fraction by the number of unit fractions you have. Now hopefully you're not going, because if you're going, as we go through this a little bit together, you're going, oh, this is giving me all kinds of trouble. We're going to hopefully fix that for you right now. Okay, so we're looking at 3/8 of 32, a whole number of 32. Again, 32. Again, picture something. Marbles, apples, I don't care. And we're going to divide it into 8 equal groups, because that's what my denominator tells me to do. Okay, 1/8 of 32 is the same as saying 32 divided by 8. We're taking that single unit fraction. Okay, so that's going to give me 4. Okay, so 3 times 1/8 is 3/8. So I can do 3 times 4 is going to be 12. 1/8 of 4, 1/8 equals 4, so 3/8 is 12. Okay, that's taking group 1 of 4, group 2 of 4, group 3 of 4, add them all together. Okay, now let's say I want to do 4/5 of 45. Well, the same principle is going to apply. Now, there is another way to do this, and I'll probably spend a little bit of time going over it in class, but I want to get through this part first, okay? So we can take 1/5 of 45, and to do that, we're going to take 45 and divide it into 5 equal groups, okay? And that's going to give me 9. That means I got 9 in each of my groups. So I've got 9 pennies in each of my groups as I divide them up. So 4 times 1/5 equals 4/5. So I know, therefore, I can take 4 times 9, okay, so 1/5 equals 9. 4 times 9 is 36. That's where that 4 up here comes from, 4/5, okay. The other way that you can do, I guess I'll just touch on this now. The other way you can do these is you can take the whole number, 32, and divide it by the denominator, which is 8, okay. 32 divided by 8 is 4, and then you multiply your answer times the numerator. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, if that's confusing for you, you're probably not quite ready for that step, but I'm just going to throw it out there for you. Okay? So, multiplying unit fractions. So, Silver City is 24 miles away. Mr. Smith has driven 1/4 of the distance. We're going to pretend we left at the same time. Okay? Mr. Vandenberg has driven 3/4 of the distance. Now, we have to figure out how far has Mr. Smith driven and how far has Mr. Vandenberg driven. Now, you're probably wondering, why is he so far behind? Well, let's start. Let's look at his car. Okay? Look at my car. Come on now. We were both sitting at the starting line and we heard this. And of course, we're really excited, so Mr. Smith started up his car. Pretty wicked, and then I started up mine. Yeah, I think you know why I'm farther ahead. Anyways, I digress. Let's get back to this. So how far has Mr. Smith driven? Well, here's what we know. We know the total distance is 24 miles, okay? And you can see that illustrated on this graph here, okay? 24 miles. And it's divided into 4 equal groups of miles. So one group is worth 6, 2 groups 12, 3 groups 18, and 4 groups is 24, okay? So we can see that 1/4 of 24 miles, which is where Mr. Smith is still at in his beautiful car, is 6 miles, okay? Now, how far has Mr. Vandenberg driven, okay? Well, I have driven 3/4 of the distance. So 1/4 is 6, 2/4 is 12, 3/4 is 18, okay? Remember, I've driven 3 times as far as Mr. Smith has. I've got 6 miles here, right? 3 times 6, that's going to be 18 miles, all right? Here are your practice problems for tonight, okay? You need to solve problems 1 and 2. If you're struggling with these, remember to figure out what 1/8 or 1/5 of these is, and then multiply that times the number of eighths or fifths that you have, okay? Now, you're going to solve this one down here and write an equation for the problem. Again, I don't need you to copy down the word problem, but I need you to show me your work and your equation along with your answer, okay? So this perilous peak is 80 miles away. We are 3/10 of the way there. How many more miles do we have to go? Okay, and that's going to be for you to work out. And if you have any questions, we'll address those in class.